You are, Pat.
Thank you. Sorry I'm late.
I think we were ready to get started, Pat.
Okay.
David, if you can bring up a copy of the plan, probably be good.
Can you put up on the screen?
Yes, I'm going to put up the screen the plan, and
right.
I'm also be writing down people's names for attendance.
Okay.
Okay, so let me put the
David, who's going to run your end of the meeting?
David's putting up on the screen. We'll answer as necessary, Pat, but if you want to get us started.
Yeah, I'll get started. Good evening, everybody. David Walker, who's going to be taking the lead on your end?
It'll probably be Alex, President.
Alex? Okay. Is Alex on board?
He's there.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm here.
I'll get started. Arthur Horn, our attorney, could not be here tonight, but my partner, Kirk Wineland, is on the call along with Ken Dunn and David Bickle from Soltez. I believe I sent this plan out to everybody ago. This is the latest plan that we have. It does show Barrow Field Road and its current alignment reflecting the master plan alignment. It doesn't show it connecting to Brinkley Road because we don't own that property. That is owned by the Peterson companies. But what you're looking at, and David Bickle, correct me if I'm wrong, is this 202 or 24 units?
224, I believe it is.
224. And yes. These are not apartments and they're not townhouses. These are 2/2 condominium units. And what I mean by that for every lot you see, there's 2 units, and they'll all have garages. They'll all be rear loaded. Our builder is still Dreamfinders Homes out of Jacksonville, Florida, and I will provide our.
He just froze.
I think he froze.
To our site, all that green area is zoned RR, and we're going to leave that. We're going to leave that in green space. And again, to the north, that's where the development's going to be, where the existing Sharper's florist is, and the abandoned greenhouses. We are going to have to do some off-site road improvements. And please, everybody, if you have any questions and you want me to stop, just tell me to stop. But we did a traffic study, and there's going to be a pretty substantial improvement to the exit ramp at St. Barnabas Road and the Beltway. We don't know what improvements yet to Brinkley or St. Barnabas, but there'll be some improvements. The 4 units at the furthest portion of the site to the south, we may not get that approved because of some environmental sensitive area. But with that road being built, it may be buildable, but that may or may not be the case. But this will be the maximum density that you will see on any plan. And just to tell you a little about Kirk and I, who are developing this, I've been in real estate since 1985, born and raised in Prince George's County. Kirk is a former council member who used to represent this area back in the 80s and 90s. You may remember the family from the drive-in movie theaters around the county. His father was a former state senator and longest serving Secretary of State in the history of the state of Maryland, to be honest with you. But Kirk and I are the ones developing these lots for the builder, Dreamfinders Homes. But with that, we're open for any questions or comments.
What is the builder's name, sir?
Dreamfinders Homes. They're out of Jacksonville, Florida.
Do you have a picture of what these units look like once they're?
I will send everybody architect. I asked Andy Garrett at Dreamfinders to get me architecture, and he's putting it together for me. But yes, I'll forward that to everybody.
So just to interject a little bit there, what we're pursuing here is what's going to be what's called a preliminary plan of subdivision, which is a subdivision and adequate public facility document. There's another step in the entitlement process, so we have to go through this whole. We have to approach the citizens and park and planning with another submittal that handles architectural design. So we don't have it at the moment with this drawing because it's not a requirement of this drawing. We're going to get it, and we'll certainly have it for the detailed site plan, which everybody will have an opportunity to chime in on when we get to that point. We're just not there yet.
I have a question. Will these units extend to the Rosecroft area?
So Rosecroft Raceway is sort of below and off the page to the bottom there. There's what I think of as the Miller track, which is to the right. Right. Yeah, and further over. We're not encroaching. This project does not encroach past our property line, which is the black line that splits the road, Barrowfield Drive. David, you could run your arrow over the yeah, there you go, right there. So we're not going past that point.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What road improvement will you do so that the residents that are currently living in this area will not have a worse grid than we already have? We have a terrible traffic grid out here at John Hanson Lane and where Brinkley Road and Old St. Barnabas Road come together. If you run that road Barrowfield Road all the way through, is it going to where? Where's this road? Is it going to be a horseshoe going back to Brinkley Road, which will be horrible?
No, it's not.
Well, we agree that would be horrible. So it's a little difficult to see. This is, David, could you show our property line again on the right-hand side? So that's our property line. We are mandated to build Barrowfield Road to that point. We do not have to, nor will we build the road beyond that point.
So you're going to have another dead end for Barrowfield. So
well, yes, we'll have a little turnaround so that you can get back out. We're not going to dead end it exactly like you see it now, but we're not leave people stranded right at the end of that road there. There'll be room to turn around. We just can't build it beyond that point. But your point is well taken. It is a master plan road, which we tried to talk to Park and Plan and said this isn't a good idea, and we didn't get very far. So we didn't want to try to push water uphill.
Well, I tell you, do you already have the permit to build these homes?
Oh no, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I'm totally against it.
Recording in progress.
I understand that you'll be giving us a recreation center, which we do not need. We are surrounded by Maryland Park and Planning centers. We do not need another recreation center. What we need is road improvement to accommodate 2,000 or 3,000 cars and to eliminate the terrible traffic grid that we have at John Hanson Lane, Brinkley Road, Old St. Barnabas Road, and Oxon Hill Road. That's what we need, road improvement. These homes have an average of 2 cars per home.
As a part of this plan, we will be mandated to improve along our frontage, along Brinkley and St. Barnabas, and there will be off-site road improvements as sort of depicted by the traffic report, which hasn't been finalized yet. So there will be road improvements based on this plan in both along our frontage and in the local area.
I would like to see your road improvement plan.
Yeah, that's still being worked on. That'll be part of the final submission once we get to the point where we're ready to submit the plan.
Very well.
Public information, we can provide that.
You know,
Also-
where are the entrances to the development? St. Barnabas and Brinkley, and where else?
We have we have an entrance off of Brinkley Road, right where that is, right? We have an entrance off of Barrowfield, right. Well, now the show Barrowfield, right there. Those are the entrances to the property.
So what happens to the people in the Sunrise townhomes? Because it looked like your entrance is very, very close to ours, and then you have a line that looked like it's going through the middle of our home. So will people be uprooted? I mean,
No.
what's
No.
going on?
I assume the Sunrise Townhomes is right here to the left, just above the word Barrowfield Road, just to make sure.
Correct.
Right, directly across from the cul-de-sac. Yes.
Right, okay. So those lines there are just intended to show the property limits of that project. It has nothing to do with any of our construction. All
And
we
Ken,
have
and
to
Ken, I'm
do,
sorry, just to be perfectly straight here, we're not uprooting anybody.
right,
Demoing any existing residences. We're not touching any of that.
right. All we have to do is build the road from where the D in road is to the edge of our property line on the other side.
And that will really gridlock Barrowfield Court. That I live, Barrowfield Court, which is at the dead end of Barrowfield Road. We will have a heck of a time getting out of this cul-de-sac with the traffic coming through Barrowfield Road.
I agree.
Yes.
So tell me this, is there a study, you have studies planned for capacity, traffic capacity when you add hundreds of buildings, sewage capacity when you tap into sewage lines, utilities, electric, gas? Have you done studies projecting what the impact capacity studies?
Yeah, we're in the process of doing all of those. A traffic study, we're working on the what's called an HPA, a hydraulic planning analysis, to deal with water and sewer capacities. And we will be reaching out to the dry utilities, that's power, gas, telecom, at the appropriate time.
I don't understand. Why do you have so many houses? It looks overwhelming. It's just like a spaceship has come down and just sat on top of us.
Actually, this is about half the permitted density. It's zone CGO, allows over 40 units per acre, and we're not doing that.
And in addition, we're not developing the southern piece of the property at all.
Right.
So there's a considerable amount of density that we're, for lack of a better term, leaving on the table.
So I have a question as it relates to.
I've lived here for 33 years and I've been sick as hell since this has come up. Everything I like about this community, you guys are taking it away. We won't have the peace, the quiet. You're going to bring 200 and some people from where? Where are they going to come from?
Earlier you said.
Are there any roads up there where people are going to walk around? They're going to come down here to walk around, use our space. I don't see any space up there. And I wish you would go through.
Let's use the raise hand feature so other people can have a chance to talk.
Can I say something? I moved to PG from Virginia about 4 or 5 years ago. I'm in the commercial division, myself in the land development. This property has been almost like vacant. There used to be a flower shop. The only issue I see here is traffic. And I think you guys are doing a great job. I think we need to hear to one another. Having the development coming to that area is not going to hurt at all, considering what is happening in the southern region right now. So there's a lot of improvement. I think we need to hear to one another. We need to communicate better on this.
Yes, well, I had a question as well.
I'm sorry?
So I had one question as well, to kind of piggyback on that development factor. So, really the whole thing with that Brinkley Road area is beautification, right? We want it to look beautiful. When you're driving in right now, you got the ugliest shopping center, Rosecroft Shopping Center right there. It just is the most sketchiest looking shopping center in the world. So I agree. We need some kind of beautification development. So my question is the units that are being developed, is there going to be some standards for beautification and, what type of, units are these going to be luxury, geared towards luxury? Are they going to be more low income? So just trying to get a feedback of what benefit that is, if that makes sense.
Where's everybody?
I can assure you this is not low income or moderate income, these are going to be luxury condominium units comparable to what they're building down in National Harbor.
Perfect. That's what I want to hear. I'm backing you up on that then, 100%.
Thank you.
Maybe Gwendolyn. you have a
Question, sir.
Are you gonna put some?
What is the price range of these houses?
We're not,
I think we figured it
they're
out.
not the builder,
Yeah,
but
if you
they're going to be in the 600,000.
This will be really good for property value as well. So
Yes, in our community. Okay, I have one more question here. Where this road Barrowfield stops and it's sort of, why aren't you going all the way out to Brinkley Road?
Well, own the property. So I can't.
Why didn't you buy it?
Well, it's not for sale.
Well, see, I think that's
which
property are you talking about?
It's
that
everything
piece of
goes-
either Peterson Companies.
Yes, she does.
I think they have a plan to develop that, to be honest with you. What they could do with that little piece of land. Yeah. I mean, that little piece of land, I don't know what they could do with it. It would be more beneficial to sell it to you, seems like it.
I can't answer for the
That would
people.
really open up Barrowfield Road for a throughway from Brinkley Road. I didn't think, from the citizens I spoke to, they don't want that opened up, and
Don't.
No, we don't want it at all.
We don't want that.
We want you to come in Brinkley Road, from Brinkley Road to your property over there, and just stay off of Barrowfield Road.
I agree.
Are you
I
planning to
agree.
do any type of complex as far as shopping or something where, because right now there's already a load on the different shopping centers as far as grocery stores. So are you going to put something back there for those residents that you're putting in?
we're not planning any retail for the site, no.
Yeah, they're not going to put anything there but houses.
But houses.
Stacked on top of each other.
Could you tell me
Yeah.
how
I
many
understand
square
they
feet-
are zoned to have some retail.
Could you tell me how many square feet?
We attempted to do retail, but the county did not want to see it. And we're looking at doing a Wawa with some other pad site restaurants.
Oh, we need no more gas stations in this area.
we do need restaurants.
That's it.
Though. We need nicer restaurants.
Henry
Though.
Harris.
That's right. Forget the gas stations.
Hello,
Am I being recognized? Hello?
We heard that loud and clear.
Yes.
Okay, yes. My name is Henry Harris. I live on High Timber Road. Looking at the drawing, it looks like Barrowfield Road is, I know it right now it's 2-lane. And it looks like Barrowfield Road, what you're going to put in is much wider than the roads through the townhouses development. It looks just like a little small entrance. How are you planning traffic light at that exit on Brinkley Road or what? Because once everybody come out of the houses going to work or whatever they're going to do, and that's backed up, then they're going to use Barrowfield Road to go out the exit to get on Brinkley Road, St. Barnabas Road. And we don't have a light there either. So is this traffic study going to include the possibility of traffic lights?
So we're not building the connection from the edge of our property to Brinkley Road. So
Yeah, I understand that. You're not built, that's the driveway there coming up. That's no exit?
no, that's an entry into our project from Brinkley Road. I don't think we're at the stage yet where we've anticipated a light for that entry.
That's right on the curve is all what I'm saying. And so how are the people going to egress from your development onto Brinkley Road?
Yeah, okay, now I understand your question. So as part of the improvements along the frontage, we'll be expected to build what's called an accel decel lane that allows you to enter and exit in relative safety at that point. That's why there's it's hard to see on this plan, but there's dedication that would be expected along that frontage for that purpose.
So pretty much it would be just like a Brinkley Road apartment next to it, where they have entrance and exit.
It is
Brinkley Road Apartments, what do you mean?
standardized.
You talking about the townhouses? What are you saying?
The apartments, the multiple apartments right next to the grocery shop, the Asian store, Asian
Right.
market.
Right?
I don't know if you do remember the entrance the way it is. One side is entrance, one side is exit. The only concern right here would be traffic. That's the only concern. I think you guys
Right, that is, right, that's.
needs
that's
to
the whole-
address that.
Yeah, that's the whole purpose of my question, because if Brinkley Road, the location that you mentioned, they can get out, but if they're coming from the other lane, they can't get in. They got to come across 3 lanes of traffic.
But what'll
So-
happen is we'll have to do some standardized improvements during the construction phase that'll be designed during engineering that may include a warrant study for signalization. Now, I can't tell you whether that signalization would be approved at this point. I just don't have the data for that. But that will be part of the process.
Okay, well, I think that it depends on how far this project is going to go. And with this traffic study, if these lights or some type of traffic control is put in place, then it may work. But other than that, you're going to have a hard time getting in and out of Sunrise and Prophecy.
Right.
And Sunrise Townhomes.
Yeah, the traffic study is designed to study all the critical intersections in and around the property. So a lot of that information will be available as we get deeper into the preliminary plan of subdivision process.
Okay.
And Ken, I'm sorry, just for the record, this is a pre-application meeting.
Yeah, we have
We haven't
a
submitted
mandatory
anything yet.
meeting that we have to have early in the process before we submit.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Just wanted to make sure I was straight on that. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank
Can
you,
I be
Mr. Harris.
heard?
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I have 2 questions. One, is this street going to be wide enough for snow plows to get through? And if I missed it, how many units totally are being planned for here?
All the streets are designed to accommodate snow plows, whether it's a public operation on the public roads or a private operation depends on whether the road is public or private. So the internal roads are generally going to be private, and that'll be up to the HOA to arrange for those on their schedule. The public roads will, like Barrowfield Road and St. Barnabas, get plowed as per Prince George's County plowing timing. And I'm sure you're all more familiar with that than I am.
And the total number of units being built?
224.
What's the square footage of each unit?
Pat, do you know? I don't know.
There are 25 by 50.
Yeah, 24 by 50 times 2.
Hold on one second, I'll tell you exactly. 2,400 square feet.
How many bedrooms?
Well, there'll be 2 to 3 bedrooms, maybe some 4 bedrooms, but they'll all have rear-loaded garages. So there'll be plenty of parking.
How much on-street parking will there be?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
How much on-street parking will there be?
On-street parking, so on Barrowfield, there won't be any.
So if someone's coming to visit, you have no place for them to park.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Oh,
I
yeah.
misunderstood. Off-street parking, yeah. So we'll be off the streets in where David's arrow is. We have parking.
Yeah.
A few other
So how many-
options in there.
So that little area right there that you just showed us, how many spaces are there?
This one has up to almost 20 here. And there's like 4 to 5 over here, 6 here, another 4 here. The minimum requirement is 1 guest space per 20 units.
One
So I
per
think we're-
20?
Oh,
For guests.
Oh.
Plus, you also have the driveways that they also
That
can
doesn't
park.
make sense.
So it seems like your development is gonna come and take off-street parking off of Barrowfield Road. The off-street parking that we're using, there's no way that you can't tell us that those people are not gonna come over and use that. Because if correct me if I'm wrong, your development can dump into Barrowfield at the end, correct? Right down where you said you're gonna do a little turnaround.
The turnaround would be towards the property limits.
Okay, so
You're right there.
which means you guys are driving traffic into Barrowfield from the backside of your houses.
Well,
We tried to make the argument. I can't tell you how many times the county, I can't say it enough times, is adamant they're making us build Barrowfield Road.
but they're not making us
We
build.
don't want to build it.
Yeah, we cannot build it from our property line to Brinkley Road. Right? That portion of it is not being built under this plan. That's not, we can't do it. Even though the
So
county.
inconvenience the little people. It's basically what you guys are saying. Inconvenience the little people.
I'm missing the gist of the question. I don't understand. I don't know how to answer what you're asking.
I mean, there's no answer for it. I mean, it was
It's
just a comment.
Okay.
I mean, because it's like you're driving traffic to an area where we don't normally have traffic. You're creating another bottleneck. We already have to deal with, like they said, John Hanson. We have to deal with Old St. Barnabas. We already have to deal with the bottlenecking traffic coming from the main roads. The minute people find a cut through, even if it's through your development or coming through the bottom of us, it increased traffic. With increased traffic comes crime. It comes a whole bunch of things that this neighborhood has never seen. So, and I don't think that you guys are getting that from your impact or the impact studies that you guys are like you said, getting ready to do. It's more than just apples and oranges. And the young lady that said, well, we have to worry about growth. That's easier said than done when this is not your neighborhood. Your life is not being changed by it.
Right.
That's easier said than done. You come to Virginia, you move to PG County, that's fine and well. We welcome you here. But the thing is that it's not your neighborhood that's being upset. It's our neighborhood that's being upset. And you have people that have lived here 30, 40 years.
But to play devil's advocate, it's going to beautify the area. I think, right now, again, like I said, if you go down Brinkley, everything looks outdated. There's,
it does. I agree with that.
I get embarrassed when I have guests that come down the road to visit. They always get scared that someone's going to, do something, So I really would love to see a beautiful Brinkley Road. And if everyone feels like that's not the case, then I don't know. I mean,
Brinkley Road can be beautified without a whole bunch of.
I mean, they're going to get luxury condos that look like National Harbor. Heck, if all of our neighborhood looks like the future National Harbor, all of our property values are going to go up. When you're ready to sell, you're going to make a lot of money. So my opinion is that we really need this.
I think people just throw the word National Harbor around, and people are supposed to just
have to come in.
Love that because you say National Harbor. I'm still looking at this little section of land here that you say that you can't. I mean, it's like, we wouldn't have a problem so much.
Miss Williams, are you saying you want Barrowfield extended to Brinkley Road?
No, I don't want Barrowfield at all. Let them come in from Brinkley Road to your property.
We have 2 curb cuts on Brinkley Road. I can't say it enough times. The county is requiring this. We don't want to build Barrowfield Road. We don't want to access
If
Barrowfield
you don't want to
Road.
build it and we don't want it built, then I think the county should listen to
Miss Williams, welcome to my world.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So then you need to tell them that this community doesn't want it. You don't want it. So, hey.
I want it. I'm a citizen here too. I pay my taxes too. I want Brinkley Road. So I'm with you guys. I support you guys 100%.
Thank you.
Do you live in the neighborhood here?
Where do you live? Where do you live?
I live right off of Cherryfield, Brinkley.
Okay, but you don't live in Sunrise. You don't live in the development that we're talking about. You're not the one that's going to be impacted by those roads. I live here. I've been here for 40 years. So that's my concern. Beautifying the neighborhood, yes, I'm all for it. I'm from New York, so yes, I am all for it. But you have to take in consideration the impact of that road, not only the road, like you said, the sewer system, all the stuff that's going to affect those people that live in these homes and these townhomes. And that, I think those impact studies should have been done before we even had this meeting, so that at least I know what we're talking about.
I'm sure they're going to come
Can't
up with
even turn left.
And don't tell me what you're
out-
sure of. Like I said, I've lived in this county. My husband was a police officer here, so don't tell me about what I'm sure they're going to. I like to see the stuff beforehand, because people will tell you all the time, yeah, we're going to do that. And then you sign on the dotted line and that doesn't happen. So I need to know it beforehand.
Bev, this is Pat. I can assure you, you will see the traffic study and all our other studies before they are submitted to Prince George's County.
Okay, I need that to happen, because
Yeah.
that's my concern. I'm all for beautifying the neighborhood, and like that gentleman said, but I knew he did not live in Sunrise, nor Sunrise Townhouse, nor property. I knew he didn't. But let me finish. Let me finish. Like I said, I'm from New York, so I got to get it out. But my biggest concern is like I said, this traffic. I know what I do where I sit to try to get out in the morning. I know what happens when you try to turn up there by the bank over there, and you can't, and they block it, and you just sit there while that light, you can't even turn. I know, because that's the way I go. That's not the way you go if you live down Brinkley. That's the way I go. So that's my concern.
I go through 495 every morning. I'm you just got to.
No, but you're not coming the way I'm coming. That's the point I'm making.
I pass through Brinkley Road every day when I go to work, when I come home. The main concern in that area is the road, and we need more light.
But I'm not talking about Brinkley. You keep talking about Brinkley. I'm talking about where he's talking about, the Barrowfield. You don't know that area. I'm not talking about Brinkley.
I do know that area. I pass by it every day.
You pass by it, but you don't live in it.
I live in the community. I live 5 minutes from there.
That 5 minutes is a big difference.
But when you come out of this development, you can't turn left at certain times because the traffic is backed up from Bach Road up to where that 7-Eleven is. You can't,
I sometimes have to make a right just to go up to the gas station, to turn around, to go back down, to go to Oxon Hill High School to pick up the kids. That's the difference. That's the point that I'm saying you don't understand.
We can all agree the John Flores is an eyesore. Whenever you drive by there, it's the ugliest area, that you can think of. So if one thing I do request is that, you beautify the sign when people are coming in towards Brinkley, towards that neighborhood, that you have a nice welcoming sign
and more lights on the roads too.
But you keep saying more lights. All that's going to do is back up the traffic more. Traffic light. You put a traffic light up there.
Not traffic light. I'm talking about street light, ma'am.
Street light.
Darker.
Okay. Well, we asking for those too.
Yeah. So we've been requesting the county for a while.
How far down do you think this thing has? Okay. I have a question.
I'm Barbara Hancock. I'd like to say something. I was just made aware that they're going to build all these condos down by Rosecroft Shopping Center, 94 and 95 units, condos. And I'm thinking about discussion about whether we should open Barrowfield Road. If we open Barrowfield, that's going to be a busy road. All these roads like Brinkley and Rosecroft, when they start building down Rosecroft, all these people are going to use Barrowfield to come through to get on the other side of St. Barnabas Road. And I want to know, why do we have to have this development here? Why can't we have something more traditional? This thing is too dense. It's too many houses. Not to say it's not a good novel development, but someplace else where you have space, you have these houses built right on the property line. Like I said, I've been here 30 years. I've had space. You're all over people.
We're not proposing any rezoning, or we're not proposing any text amendments. We're not proposing any variances. What we're doing is developing the property in its current zone. Just like Michael T. Rose did on Barrowfield Road in the 1970s, that was developed in the RT zone. This is zone CGO and RMF 20, which this density actually is only half about what it could be. In the CGO zone, you're allowed to do over 40 units per acre just on the 6 acres, you could do 240 apartments. We're not doing that. We believe that was too dense.
So who's telling you you have to do this? Who's telling you? Aren't you a private developer?
We are, but we have to abide by the zoning and rules of Prince George's County.
We'll go someplace else.
Well, okay, that's not the solution either. But you know, people have to make money, and we do want to beautify the neighborhood, like I said. But we really do. My biggest thing, like I said, is the impact on Barrowfield Road in my development where I live, and also the impact of the sewer line, the water, the electric, all of that. Because I don't want that affecting me. And like I said, I'm an original homeowner, so I remember when the electric grid couldn't accommodate me. I remember my lights going out all the time. So those are my biggest concern. I do not want to go backwards. I mean, we need to go forward.
Do you see where the Barrowfield Road is on the map there? That's the cul-de-sac in which I live.
Mm-hmm.
And I am totally against not improving. We need more than a 2-lane road. We will never get out of the cul-de-sac. Never. That's 448 cars passing through Barrowfield Road, getting to John Hanson Lane, St. Barnabas Road, Oxon Hill Road, and Brinkley Road. 448 cars, not counting the cars of the homes that are already here.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous. We need an overpass or something. Oh, I'm Jean Ivory, by the way.
What's the plan for Rosecroft? I think all that land back there.
They don't know nothing about Rosecroft.
Are you planning to gate the community?
You're only talking about this.
Not at this time, Ms. Gore, no.
Okay, is that under consideration?
Honest to God, we've never considered it.
Gating would add more traffic. One thing I do want to add is that, you know, once this development gets built, I'm pretty sure that the rest of the whole street, you know, like the Rosecroft Shopping Center, they're going to start focusing on improving that. So, you know, I think this will be a great way to start redeveloping our area and making it look nicer. So,
well, I appreciate your comment, whoever's saying that, but I want you all to please realize and understand, Kirk and I are sons of Prince George's County. We were raised here. I was born here as Kirk, and my family had businesses here. And we want to be a good neighbor. We want to make sure you all see everything before anything gets submitted to the county. We love you all to help us out and make the argument not to build Barrowfield Road and see if we can't work together for a great project.
Absolutely. I'm sure that when you...
We have a question here. Mr. Ricker, can you point the old shoppers, the old shop floors. Our concern is that what the apartments are going to be directly on Brinkley Road. Can you just point to the where the shoppers is right now?
Where the shop is, the floor shop?
Right, the floor shop. Yes.
I think it's in this area.
The old building.
Yeah.
Yes. Old Sharpers. Right about there. Go up towards Brinkley Road. About there. Right about there.
Okay, so shop is right on Brinkley Road.
It's right on Brinkley Road. Yes.
Right there. Okay, so the building will be right on Brinkley Road. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and you're not going to be looking at the back of these units. These are fronting. The frontage of these units will be looking towards Brinkley.
Okay, I guess I'm a little confused. You know, is it going to be as far as the St. Ignatius Church?
St. Ignatius is further down Brinkley, isn't it?
It's to the right.
To the right.
Yeah, we're not going that far.
It's off the picture.
Yes.
Okay. So it's right on.
Aren't there some other single family homes in that area though?
Right.
Right behind the flop floors.
Right
Yeah.
behind the stores. Right behind.
Yes, ma'am. They're all part of the Sharper family property. And Pat misspoke just a little bit earlier. This is Kirk Wineland. We have 3 curb cuts up there, not 2. And the county is really only going to allow us to use 1.
So the existing homes are somewhere in the middle of this. So those are going to be torn down, the existing homes, right, somewhere along there. Okay, that's what I
Yes,
thought.
ma'am. Yes.
Excuse me, 2 of them are on the developed area. The third one, if you go down just a little bit into the green, and the top of the hill there, David, right there. That's where the third one is. Third single family home is on top of that hill.
Okay, and that's going to stay there then?
No, ma'am, that goes away too.
Oh, that goes away. Okay, okay.
But it
That's
will
what
be
was-
undeveloped.
Okay, yeah, that's what was confusing to me because I knew there
That
were
green-
homes there.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. That green area is like 6 acres. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ken.
You're right.
Yeah, that's about right.
It's a third of the property.
This is not built yet.
So my name is Alex. Pat, we have corresponded for a while.
Yes.
So I live in the Sunrise Homeowners Association. The biggest thing that, the biggest discussion that we have in our community is the impact that it would create having to have this many homes in this square footage, almost over 400 family members. If you calculate, each one with 2 cars, the impact that it would create, the type of connections that the town, this neighborhood would have.
Alex, excuse me. It's not 400 and some families. It's 220 families.
So 220 family homes.
Yes.
Over 400 cars, if you can, over 400 cars.
Oh, so I'm saying 2. Okay, 2 per. Okay.
Just assuming two cars per person. It's just,
I agree.
Just a minimum. And we ourselves, down by the cul-de-sac, it's 108 single family homes that we live. And this community, the connection that it would have to, because we're adjacent to you, there's going to be a lot of connections, whether utility connections, whether it's sewage connection, whether it's street connection. A lot of the things that will happen in your development will impact us directly more than the other neighborhoods that seem to be very positive about this project. We are optimistic about certain things of the project, but the biggest really concern that we have is the traffic. Having this amount of people living adjacent to our community is very concerning to us. And I don't seem to hear any type of solution, whether to decrease the amount of units per square footage in that area, because the green space that you see below Barrowfield, you can't develop that area. It is extremely hard terrace to be able to develop it. So what is happening is, in turn, it seems like the developers are putting too many homes concentrated in that area to compensate for the type of land that can't be developed. So that's really concerning to us as far as the impact it would create in our neighborhood.
Alex, this is Kirk Wineland. That green area is zoned completely different from the upper side of the property. And it's zoned RR, I believe, Ken?
That's correct.
And so if it could be developed, and it's not going to be, and it were perfectly appropriate for development, which it is not, as you noted, how many houses could go there? Ken?
Well, it's about 20.
Yeah, and we don't get any of that. We're not absorbing any of that density, even though it's only 20. We don't get to transfer that up to the upper part at all.
I understand, but it just doesn't still address the root of the issue of having this many homes concentrated in that small area. If you look at the town Prophecy townhomes, if you compare the two, within that square footage area, if you replicate that into the prophecy, you have half of the amount of units. You have about 120 units of single townhomes.
There are two right here.
If you look to the left, but you don't have the overall map of the prophecy or the Sunrise Town, the single family homes. So it's really hard to compare. But we have looked at it in depth and compared the square footage of the whole footprint that lands in your area versus in our area. The density of your area seems to be a lot more than that it should. I don't know whether that can be approved. I don't know whether you can be able to address that issue for us, because the quantity of units that are being developed is really concerning to most of the people that live in the three adjacent associations, the Sunrise Townhomes, the Prophecies, as well as the Sunrise homeowners.
Well, we have our zone is just different than the zone to the adjacent property, and it's being developed at a different time. Things evolve. With our zone being different, we have different regulations that we have to follow, or that we are allowed to follow, which is why there's a different density, I guess, unit per square foot, as you were kind of referring to it as. So that's why there's a different density, but that doesn't mean that we cannot. We have to follow a procedure that provides these traffic studies, these stormwater studies, these water and sewer studies, these electrical load studies, so that they don't impact existing neighborhoods. And we follow a prescribed set of regulations when we do that. Otherwise, our plans can't be approved by the regulatory agencies.
So what happens next? What happens next? What are the things that you have planned after this meeting?
Well, so the next step is for us to continue working on the submittal package for a preliminary plan of subdivision, which would include the preliminary plan itself, a traffic study, a stormwater management concept plan, a natural resource inventory, a tree conservation plan, and a few other odds and ends. All those documents get submitted to Maryland National Capital Park and Planning. They review it for, let's call it, making sure we dotted the I's.
You should reach your destination by 7:19 p.m.
With that,
Charlene, can you please mute?
We then turn the project in completely, and we can continue having meetings with this group as we go through this process, so that we can keep you updated and show you our progress. Once it's accepted by Park and Planning, we have a planning board, which is a public hearing. That's within 70 days of the acceptance date. That is, like I said, it's a public hearing. It's on Thursdays. We will have to post the site with signs, so you'll be able to see if you don't, for some reason, catch up to us, or we catch up with you and inform you as to what that date is. There will be what's called a staff report published about 2 weeks prior to that that public hearing, which will tell you whether Park and Planning has either approved, recommended, and this is the professional staff at Park and Planning, whether they have recommended us for approval, recommended us for denial, or recommended us for approval with conditions. And those conditions would generally be things like, we'll change this about the plan or change that about the plan. I can't really predict what they might be, but they'll have some comments, which we will try to address at that public hearing. And that staff report is publicly available on their website. So you'll be able to download it and read it yourself. At the public hearing, and the public hearing is virtual, by the way. So nobody needs to show up, but it is on a Thursday and it's during the day. So at that public hearing, you sign up and you are allowed to speak and speak your mind, and the planning board, the planning board itself, the voting members will get a chance to hear your opinion and take that into consideration as they vote to approve or deny the plan.
And what kind of timetable are we talking about?
That's a good question. So once it's accepted, it's 70 days, right? It takes about, let's call it 30 to 45 days, maybe 60 days to get accepted. So maximum probably 130 days from now.
Okay, and then how long does the construction? So once you start, how long of a project is this? Because I imagine it would have some impact on sewer and other things for the existing residents. About how long is the building process?
So the preliminary plan is just the first step. We also have a detailed site plan that follows pretty much exactly what I just described to you, except it's much more, as the name implies, it's a much more detailed plan. We actually have architectural elevations for you to look at and some more answers to some of the questions you've been asking. Then we have engineering to go through. So we won't have a grading permit, let's call it for, I don't know, 14 to 15 months from now, right, Pat? Somewhere in that range.
Sometime next spring or summer.
Then then construction will start, and construction, part of construction is how long it takes to take down the individual units, which is based on sales. But you'll probably be building out here for 2 years.
Now, could the person mute their phone, please, or whatever that is, so we can hear?
I think that's Felicia. Can you please mute your phone?
Okay. Now, what about the construction, like vehicles? Is this going to be like a traffic situation for 2 years while you're building this, or once you scope it out, will it be basically internal? How will we be impacted, the existing residents, if you're going to be building here for 2 years?
These people are going to make money one way or the other.
Well, hopefully, the construction traffic will be kept to a minimum. I mean, it's not that big a site, right? So the earth moving on this which is really where you get your vehicular traffic for the most part, is over, within about a 6-month time period. I mean, you're going to have some smaller commercial vans like the trades.
Tony, can you mute your phone?
Yes, ma'am. Hold on.
You'll get some trades that come in, but for the most part, the main construction vehicular traffic will be the grading, the dump trucks, and that'll be like the first 5 to 6 months. I mean, it's a small site. It doesn't take that much to grade this, so the timing on that should be pretty quick.
I have another question. This was something that came up, and I don't know if you all have addressed it, but there's another, the property could actually come in through, I don't know the name of the street, but maybe someone does. You know, when you're coming out of the, off the highway, and if you keep straight, you'll go right into where the florist is. It's a small street, so that the property would actually, you could actually come right off of, what's that, St. Barnabas? It's a street right there. It's a light, and if you go straight, it stops right there, and then you have to turn to the right to go down to St. Barnabas, or you turn to the left to go to Brinkley.
Okay.
Right there where the gas station is.
Right about where the arrow is, plus or minus.
In front of.
Is that John Hanson?
So you could extend that street. I don't know if they have looked into that, but you would be extending it. So you would go, and you could go straight into your development because it's right there where the florist is. Have you considered that, or have you looked at that? And that would be a excellent entrance because it's right off of, you come off the highway and you can keep straight. And you could go right into that development.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you. We'll look at it.
I'm looking at it now.
That's a great idea.
Great question. I'm looking at it now. Let me see.
Because if you go straight, you can go straight into the development. You can beautify that whole area.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Where?
Coming off of 495.
Coming off of 495, you could just come straight down, and the street stops. You can now you can either go to the right or to the left.
Right.
Right. You could build the development and go straight across, straight through,
Great
right
idea.
into.
And it ties in right with where the greenhouses are.
That's right. Go straight to the greenhouses.
That's where she's from.
Please look at that.
Yes.
Please.
I
have another-
think
With
that's
the big beautiful sign.
Ken, I have another question for Pat.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Ronette McDan. I live in the Sunrise Development. I'm just wondering if there have been any considerations for where, you think about the 200 homes, the 400 parents, maybe the 100 kids. Have there been any additional studies looked in terms of the schools that this community would be using, the grocery stores? I know we talked a little bit about that, the hospitals, the malls. What else has been considered for providing for this community that isn't already here? Because our infrastructure is already compromised in terms of volume. I think it's a good idea, but when you get outside of the sewage and the water and electricity, what about the schools, the grocery stores, hospitals, and things that provide for just everyday living and needs? And has that been a part of any consideration?
Thank you. That's a really interesting question. So it both has and hasn't, right? We try to explain this, and some of this people are going to like, and some of it people aren't going to like. And let's take the easy one, schools, right? So a new residential development clearly has impact on the existing schools in any community, and a lot of times schools are they're either under or over capacity, and there's a number of ways to deal with that. The way that Prince George's County chooses to deal with it is to collect a fee from the developer in order to get a building permit. Outside the Beltway, that fee is $20,000. Inside the Beltway, that fee is like $10,000 in round numbers, right? So each individual building permit that is pulled here, 224, will contribute $20,000 to the education fund in Prince George's County.
Yeah.
Drop in the bucket.
Well, it may be, but it's more than any other county except for Montgomery County in the state of Maryland.
Who's that belching?
That's Charlene Belcher.
Who's belching? Could we not hear you, please?
I don't think somebody liked my answer, right?
No, we can mute that out, please.
Oh my God. We need Charlene to mute her drinking.
So right or wrong, that's the way Prince George's County chooses to deal with it, and we have to abide by that law, right?
So I just want to make sure I understood. So for each 224 units, you have to pull a permit at approximately $20,000 per unit, and then this is for the educational, and that goes into the educational quote unquote fund. Is that?
Yeah, that goes into this is the part where I don't know as well, right? So it all goes to Prince George's County.
But not necessarily, you don't know necessarily that it's earmarked for the schools.
No, it is earmarked for the schools.
Oh, okay.
But it's not necessarily earmarked for schools here. It could be in Laurel, or it could be in Bowie, or they could spend the money in Eagle Harbor. But the same thing's true in Bowie. If you're developing in Bowie, $20,000 per unit, and they could spend the money down here. So there's a little variance there. That's the way I believe it's administered.
But Ken explained there's more than just that fee.
Oh, well, and that's a good point, Pat. That's not the only permit fee. There are a number of other permit fees that we have to pay as assurances for mitigation to impacts on public infrastructure, if you will. Now, you also asked about grocery stores and hospitals. My answer is less clear because those are private enterprises.
Okay.
Now, I know because I worked in Prince George's County now for over 30 years. In this area, we're doing, and it takes a long time to put medical facilities. You'd be surprised how long it takes to put a medical facility up. We're doing at least 2, maybe 3 different, and we're just one engineering firm, different medical facilities in and around this area. But those are all private enterprises. They're not subject to anything like an adequate public facilities test, like I just described for the schools. I've also heard things like, food deserts, and I don't exactly know what a food desert is. But I suspect it means that there's less healthy food in some areas than others. Again, that's a private enterprise that we don't have any real control over.
But is
So-
that considered, even though you don't have any control of it, as a part of your studies or impacts, do you all have any, do you use your leverage in terms of approval, for example? Well, we will bring in, X, Y, and Z, or we will contribute a portion of our revenue for the building of X, Y, and Z, so that it's not as if, well, we don't control it, but we're going to dump these houses here, but we can't control the grocery stores or the hospitals because that's private. So that's not really our consideration or our issue. Just making it a part of what you're holistically a part of what you're doing.
No, and that's why it was an interesting question, right? So there's a rooftops bring those types of services, and so the more rooftops you get, the better the chances are of you getting. And I can already tell you, like I said, there's at least 3 medical facilities that I'm aware of that are in the process of being approved in this general area, right? That are fairly close. I can't really speak too much about grocery stores, but
I can speak to that because I hired KLNB to bring a grocery store. They contacted every single grocery store that there could possibly be, and they all passed on the site. Everyone.
But what I'm trying to communicate is, though, when you have rooftops, when you bring additional rooftops, that's what grocery stores look for.
Yes.
Or restaurants look for. So the more rooftops you have, the higher likelihood there is of gaining those services. And that's been proven over and over and over again.
So Rick, I'm sorry, you mentioned that every grocery store that was contacted declined. Where would they have had an opportunity to build?
Right where
they declined to go where in this?
Right smack dab in the middle of it.
The zoning for this property would have allowed a grocery store.
Yes.
Okay, and so major grocery stores all were contacted and all declined, really? Huh.
Giant, Safeway, Amazon Fresh, Wegmans.
Do they give any insight into why it wouldn't be a good business arrangement for them in their response?
The overwhelming reason was there's a grocery store across the street.
But they built. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Believe me, we wanted to do that. We were going to do a Lowe's.
But there isn't a grocery store across the street, I guess. There's a gas station everywhere, but not a grocery store. But
yeah. Isn't there a Safeway or Shoppers across the street?
Nope.
Yeah, there is a Safeway. There's a Safeway in the Rivertown Commons.
Yeah, Rivertown. That's right.
Yeah.
And we talked to Lidl, and which I don't like Lidl, and we talked to what's the other one, Kirk, the German grocer?
Aldi, yeah.
And each of those are at the bottom of Oxon Hill Road. There's a Lidl's, a Aldi's, a Save-A-Lot, and a
that's right.
And the Shoppers. Safeway. But you're talking about $500,000 homes that, where individuals may or may not want to do shopping at different types of grocery stores, some of which you mentioned, a Wegmans or a Whole Foods or a Trader Joe's, in terms of diversifying, right? That you really are doing some diversification, building $600,000 homes right where you're building them.
We through KLNB contacted every possible grocer there was, and you mentioned almost all of them. They all turned it down.
Thank you so much, Pat and Ken, for responding.
Is there an opportunity as you guys develop that they may come back around, to perhaps see the potential and, build in the future? Is that something you think could possibly happen?
I don't know. No, there's so much uncertainty right now in the county. They're talking about eliminating townhouses in all zones. There's already been legislation to prohibit mini storage. They're eliminating gas stations. There's so much uncertainty. I don't see a grocery store ever coming here. We spent almost 2 years trying to get a grocer to come, and we just couldn't do it.
What about restaurants at all? How they have mixed use
and
buildings?
again, we hired KLNB, and they talked, you know, they said, well, oh, we can bring you a car wash. I said, we're not doing a car wash. I don't want another a fast food chicken joint or burger joint. We said we wanted sit down white tablecloth restaurants. It doesn't have to be a Ruth Chris, you know, or some Capital Grill, but we wanted some nice restaurants, and they wouldn't come.
So is there, Pat, is their report public, KLNB's report that you're referencing?
A report?
That you said that you invited them to come and be a part of this development.
Yeah.
Is that asked in whatever they were? I mean, I'm sure it wasn't just a phone call. I'm sure it would have been.
No. Actually, the KLNB put together a nice brochure, color, and sent it to them electronically in paper, and we couldn't get any traction whatsoever.
So there isn't anything that's public in terms of
you have to understand,
their report.
It's frustrating to me because, and also, our families had and have businesses in the county. We took the risk, and one of them, some of you may have heard of it. It's called Jerry's Seafood. That's my father-in-law. He opened up, he ran a great restaurant in Seabrook, and everybody said it'll never happen. Well, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but he was there, you know, for 25, 30 years, and it can be done. It's just getting these people to believe in Prince George's and take the risk. It's very difficult.
Oh, thanks. So the ask of KLNB and their response isn't a documented report that's public. No. Okay, that's what I.
No, ma'am.
Clear. All right.
No.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I don't know how we're handling questions. If there's a hand raising or somebody's moderating to.
Go ahead.
To call on folks. So the person who was just speaking, it looks like your name was Pat Ricker.
Yes.
And whom are you with?
I'm a private developer, and my partner is Kirk Wineland, and we are the contract purchasers of the property from the Sharper family.
Okay, and you stated that you had meetings with grocery stores, and who was at these meetings, or who did the solicitation to the grocery stores?
Kirk, what was my guy's name from KLNB? Do you remember?
Let me look it up.
I'm looking forward to. Give me 1 second. Yeah. All right.
And then there was another gentleman who spoke who said he wasn't sure, he didn't know what a food desert was.
Yeah, that was me.
What was your name?
Ken Dunn.
And whom are you with?
We're the civil engineering firm that's helping get the property permitted.
Okay, is there a name of the firm?
Soltez.
SOLTEZ?
TESZ.
TESZ. Okay. So my name is.
I apologize. I'm drawing a blank. It's been so long. Are you looking for it, Kirk?
Yeah, I am. Phil Ruxton.
Phil Ruxton. That's it.
Phil Ruxton, and who was Phil? He was with KNLB.
He's the head of their commercial. Yeah, he's the head of their commercial division for the DMV generally, who finds people, hooks people up that are retailers or restaurants or grocery food stores for locations on clients, which is what Pat and I were, property.
Okay. And at was any point where any of our current or former Prince George's County Council members involved in those conversations?
No.
Alan, excuse me.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, go ahead. Were any elected officials involved in those negotiations? Is that the question?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, they weren't.
So there were people who don't live in the area speaking on our behalf, asking Lidl, who's already within a 1.5 mile distance from this, not even a full mile probably, and Aldi approaching them about building on the site when they're already right there.
I don't believe Aldi, or we've been working on this for 3 years. I don't know how long they've been down there, but KLNB is all over Prince George's County. And they know the retail market like the back of their hand. They are the best. And they could not get a grocer to come. everybody wanted it. I mean, they were excited. Feels like, well, we've got this, some fast food chicken restaurant, I can't remember what it was called, and a car wash. And both Kirk and I said, we can't do that. We've got to do so. We want to raise the bar. And it's not like we're coming in here from Ohio. We were born here. we were raised here. We want to do something nice. And from a retail standpoint, we could not pull it off.
Well, I mean, that's not shocking to me. We know what the demographics are made up of, and we know where the, certain people's implicit biases, and we know that there's money that is being spent in other jurisdictions because they get our zip codes. They know that we're coming from Prince George's County and spending our money elsewhere, which is benefiting people other than those who make up Prince George's County. So there's no real vested interest in making sure Prince George's County has something local because they're getting
100% agree with you.
So we do know that, but it is concerning for me that there is nobody directly from this area. And I understand that you said that you all are familiar with the area, and KNLB, they're an entity, so they're not a person.
Say, we like this design, and this is how they, and let them take it from there. They get money. We're not getting paid for this.
Okay,
Ms. Ivory, can you please mute while you're speaking?
Of course it is. That's why they gotta take it someplace else. Oh no.
Let the people who buy those homes see what the hell they've gotten into, and they're gonna.
Okay, thank you. But so it's concerning for me that there was nobody who's directly connected to the southern portion of Prince George's County that was going in there, and I don't know what type of.
Felicia, Kirk represented Prince George's County for 8 years on the Prince George's County Council. He's very familiar with
since 2020 or anywhere around that time frame.
I'm a little older than that. I apologize. In the previous century, I was on the county council from 86 until 94, and my back's starting to hurt a little bit more right now. But no, and I hear you, ma'am, because I had these very same discussions and fights for years, and I know from my personal experience that for a large part of retail, historically being in my lifetime, Prince George's County has been redlined. And I was witness to it in some fashion as Pat and I started to discuss with KLNB, who is top notch, and some of these retailers at the beginning of this project. And it's saddening. It truly is.
Literary title characters.
Yeah, it is. Well, my final question is just because, I mean, what was going on in 1986 and 1994 is not really present day, and we're not talking about $600,000 homes that were being built at that time. But my question would be, this meeting was being recorded. I don't know who's the owner of the Zoom, and I wanted to see if this meeting was going to be posted somewhere that we would have access to it afterwards for those who were not able to attend and those like myself that didn't thought about it till late and joined late.
Literary for 1600.
And
I don't exactly know how that works. I mean, I know it was being recorded. I suspect we get the recording. I
they
can
don't
probably
involve all these
delve into
people.
that.
How did this get involved? I don't understand it. Do you?
Peacefully demonstrate at the 1968 Summer Olympics.
I missed part of that.
Felicia, Ken, if you could see if you are able to share this.
I think
it sounds good to say I got the community involved, but they're gonna do what they want to do. So
but at least we'll know.
Folks, if you're not speaking, please mute your camera. Your computer. We're hearing background conversations.
The host can mute everybody and then just allow certain people to come in, and he can continue to mute them if they continue to be rude like this.
To answer Felicia's concern, or if we could see how we can post this, or we can share it with the president of Sunrise, let's do it.
Okay, I'll have to find out who that is. I'm not in Sunrise. I'm in Apple Grove. So
Valicia, who's the hold on a second. Give me 1 second.
Felicia, I'm in Sunrise. You see my name, Deborah. Sunrise.
Yeah, I've talked to Deborah before. Deborah, you have my email address.
I do.
Send me an email requesting a copy of this audio and video, and I'll see if I can't get it from Ken and share it with you. You can share it with everybody.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Ms. Deb Gore, I see your name here. Thank you.
I'll send my email on the chat.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, Deb.
Okay, we have one last question about property.
Pat, do you have any idea as to what's going to happen to the property across the street from Shoppers Floors?
Miss Davis.
Yes, sir.
A fantastic question. I've asked the Michael companies who has the listing. Supposedly it's under contract. They will not tell me what the plans are.
Oh.
Now they are zoned the same, they're zoned CGO, and you can do just about anything you want in the CGO zone. They're keeping it hush hush. They won't tell us.
Wow.
Interesting.
Okay.
Which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah, we'll get busy. Thank you.
But that's a very good question.
Sorry, what was the name of the developer again? Dream?
It's Dream Finders Homes.
Okay.
They're in Jacksonville, Florida.
Gotcha, thank you.
Although they're new to the DMV, they've hired a bunch of local people to run this division.
Okay.
Is that about it, Ken?
Pat?
Yeah, as far as I can tell. I mean, we've been going for an hour now, so
yeah,
Pat,
we'll probably try to wrap up.
Yeah, there's a sign up across the street from the Shoppers now, and there's a 270 multifamily dwelling proposal to come up. There's a neighborhood meeting on March the 2nd at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, and who's speaking right now?
John Brown.
John, are you referring to the other Sharper property across the street?
That's correct.
Very interesting. I did not know that.
There's a new sign up. It's only been up there. It came up last week.
Miss Davis, there's your answer. They're planning to do 200 and some apartments. That's what they're planning to do.
Okay,
Wow.
well, that will be a mass congestion up there then.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Mass.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Yeah, if you pass by there, just look over at, there's a brand new sign up right near the Michael sign. It's directly across the street from the floors.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you.
Wow.
And Ken, do you have an email address? Because I want to make sure you know what I'm talking about when I was mentioning about the entrance.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to send that to you. We'll send you some pictures.
So the property across the street is actually zoned for, restaurants as well. So just in commercial properties. So just giving a heads up. I mean, like I said, the future I see for Brinkley Road is like, a nice downtown type of view and, luxury apartments and shopping and walkable area. So I'm all for this. So good job on,
Deborah Gore, what is your cell number?
My cell number? Woo! I tell you after the meeting.
All right.
Smart. Don't give that out, Deb. Send it to him in his email.
I'll text you after the meeting.
I'll email you to get because I want to make sure you get everything.
Okay, great. Yeah, Ken, if you have an email address, I wanted to make sure you know what I'm talking about. Not talking about the change in the entrance.
Yeah, Pat can text it to you.
Okay, great.
Well, I guess thanks everybody for getting on tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Very much.
No, everybody.
That it, Ken?
That
Thanks
concludes
for
it.
the presentation. We'll look forward to continuing the dialogue.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
See you later.